But Mike, there's only a little bit of excess deaths because of all the measures we took. It's because of the masks. It's because of locking people in their houses for a year. You're just speculating. You have no fucking clue what you're talking about. Are you factoring in the natural course of pandemics? Are you factoring in the natural course of what viruses do? Are you factoring in seasonality? Are you factoring the fact that all viruses start out strong and end up getting weaker and weaker? Yes, they mutate. They always mutate to something weaker. Look at past experience. Okay? So I'm telling you again, there may have been a pandemic at the beginning for the first 2 to 3 months, and then deaths leveled off. You have to understand that deaths have leveled off effectively around the end of April 2020. Now, I can explain this to you a little bit deeper to make you understand a little bit more, okay? When COVID hit and nobody quite knew how bad it was going to be, they were like, oh my God, pandemic, panic. They were talking about a novel coronavirus, okay? Novel meaning new. The coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2, is not completely new. It has 80% the same genetic makeup as other coronaviruses that we deal with all the time, that we're perfectly fine dealing with. Okay? That 20% difference was enough to kill off some susceptible people. And that's where you noticed that sharp increase in death and then a level off. Okay? It was because it was kind of new. Not fully new. 80% of it our bodies recognized. But that 20% kind of new killed off a couple of susceptible people, unfortunately. Okay? But that stopped. Why? Because naturally, more people catch the bug, build up antibodies and T-cell protection. They build up immunity. They get sick. They build up immunity, which helps protect other people. The more people build up immunity because of antibodies and T-cells, and they've gotten the virus, the more it protects other people. It's called herd immunity. Now, anybody who's saying, oh, well, you just think that a bunch of people should die first? No, I think that focused protection was the best way out, but we didn't do that. We should have focused our attention on the old and on the immunocompromised and said, let's get all our resources to them, protecting them, sheltering them, making sure they have all the medication they might need, making sure they have all the resources. Let everybody else go on with their life because they can handle it. Everybody else can handle it. Everybody else is going to get sick, get the sniffles, get a fever, maybe even get a bad flu. But most people didn't get a bad flu. A lot of them were perfectly fine. Then they start to build up antibodies and T-cell immunity. And that protects other people because a virus goes through so many people while they don't have immunity. It goes real quick, kills off a couple people, but then the more people get it, the slower it goes through people and the less damage it does because it's starting to build up immunity in the population and it's starting to get weaker. The bodies are starting to get recognized to this. So everybody's going on a panic still 14 months later because the news is keeping that hyped up. The governments are keeping it hyped up. Why do they want to keep it hyped up? Follow the money, guys, right? Why do they want to keep coronavirus hyped up? I could go on and on for days about why. I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole with everybody, but we could go on for days about why. But the point is who stands to benefit from this panic, this pandemic, this locking people down Who stands to benefit? The governments do. They get to make changes and stay in power and make changes that effectively they could never make before, because there would be too much of an uproar and people wouldn't be having it. But when you have people locked in their houses and you're giving them tickets for going outside and you're making them wear masks everywhere that cover their mouths so that they don't want to talk to each other, they're afraid of each other, they're not sharing their opinions because they have a muzzle over their face. Right? They're losing their individuality because they have a muzzle over their face. Meanwhile, they don't know that this is where your oxygen goes in. This is where the carbon dioxide goes out. And if you cover this up, not only are you not going to get as high quality oxygen in your brain, you're not going to get as much carbon dioxide out of your body as you should, but you're also creating a situation where you're creating moisture around your mouth in this mask, causing bacteria to form. So people can get more sick. Okay? So there's a lot of problems with this whole mask nonsense, right? But back to the politics of it is they can use an emergency to have a power grab, right? And it's not just the governments who are loving this. Who else stands to benefit? Oh, the vaccine manufacturers that have zero liability over if anybody gets hurt. And what have we heard? Everybody on the planet needs to get the vaccine. Since when has everybody on the planet needed to get a vaccine? Never. That's not how they work. That's not how our bodies work. We have immune systems. We don't need to vaccinate the whole planet. We could vaccinate 30% of the planet from COVID and be completely fine. Not even 30% of the planet. Like, just taking wild guesses, like probably 30%, really. You know, shelter the old and frail and susceptible and let everybody else go on their life. But they did not do that. Okay? They didn't do that. Right? Who stands to benefit? People that want to see society change a certain way. That's who stands to benefit. People who stand to make a lot of money. Guess what? A lot of these politicians and a lot of these public health experts, they're paid by the governments. So it's in their best interest to follow their plan, right? How many horrible recommendations have we gotten from public health? Oh God, the list goes on and on. Nonsense. And how little actual health advice have they given you? Since when did you hear about taking your vitamins? Since when did you hear about exercise? No, you heard the opposite. Don't go outside. Don't get sunshine. Don't be around people you love. Don't socialize. Don't go to the gym because that's not beneficial for your health. Instead, here, order all the takeout food, stay home, don't socialize, don't get fresh air. Certainly don't take vitamin D. Right? This is public health. Public health telling you to have sex with your partner through a glory hole. Come on. This isn't science, guys. This has nothing to do with science. This is nonsense. Right? Look at these politicians. Some of them have gotten filthy rich over this pandemic. Filthy rich. Look at like Doug Ford, who owns the Deco company that sells the decals that go all over the floors that say stand here and walk there. He went from $3 million worth at the beginning of the pandemic to $50 million worth now. And he's small potatoes. Doug Ford is a nobody in this picture. Think of all these, think of the Bill Gateses that have all the fucking shares in the vaccines, right? Think of the World Economic Forum that wrote the book, COVID-19, The Great Reset, that wants to see the whole social construct of the planet change. It's a Marxist plan. It's a totalitarian plan. They said that you'll own nothing by the year 2030. You own, like, this is just an article. It's not what they said exactly, but the article said, the year is 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and I've never been happier. And it goes on to talk about blah, 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 life in 2030. You'll own nothing. Okay, first of all, there's so many problems with that. People want to own things. People want to have privacy, okay? And so you're suggesting everybody's going to own nothing. Well, who's going to provide the services? Because nothing's for free, right? What are we going to have to pay to have the things that we need, okay, when we don't own anything and we don't have any privacy, right? So all the people, all the small fries, the yous and the me's and the people of this world, we're going to own nothing, right? We're going to have no privacy. We're just going to get things dropped off and we're going to rent stuff and blah, blah, blah. We're going to be living in the Marxist world of communism and like we have nothing. We live off whatever the government gives us. That's it. Everybody's equal under whatever. It's straight up Marxism. But the people who own the shit, all the big tech companies, all the huge industry fucking companies out there that are the partners of the World Economic Forum and the leaders of the World Economic Forum, these people pushing these agendas, they're going to own everything. And guess what? They're not going to be living hand to mouth. They're not going to not own anything. They're not going to not have any privacy. They're going to own everything and they're going to have all your information, but you're going to have nothing. So again, you got to connect the dots, people. COVID is not about a virus. COVID is not about a virus at all. We've seen much worse viruses. There was a pandemic in like 1968 that was just as bad. There was a pandemic in, I think it was 57, just as bad. Spanish flu, fucking 10 times, 100 times worse than this. 100 times worse than this. But we're acting like it's the end of the world. And that we're going to kill everybody that we come in contact with unless we're vaccinated or unless we're wearing a mask, right? And if we go outdoors, it's danger, danger. This is straight up fucking nonsense. There's nothing scientific about it. Straight up nonsense. And again, if you're not asking these questions, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You just believe whatever you're fucking told? Wake up. You know, like, follow the money and the power. And when you do, you will realize how sick this whole plan is. You will realize how sick the governments are and how sick these people that are telling us it's for our own good are. It's not for our own good. It's for their good, and it's very, very, very bad for us. Us people who have the thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who have lost their livelihoods and businesses. Hundreds of thousands of people whose children's schooling has been affected potentially irreversibly. We're talking almost 2 years now of fucked up life for our kids. Right? The people who have died waiting on life-saving treatments, screenings, going to the hospital. The people with life-threatening diseases that have been pushed off because of COVID and our hospital system, COVID. You know how few fucking people are dying in the hospital with COVID? Do you know how many people need to go to the hospital for other reasons? Again, this COVID shit, it's nonsense. And how often, when have you ever seen so many scientists, doctors, and other experts be silenced, not get any airtime because they don't agree with the narrative and they're coming forward and being like, bringing you facts, and they're not getting any airtime and they're being called complete quacks. It's not one or two doctors. It's not one or two scientists. It's legitimately thousands and literally 100,000 plus. They're not quacks, man. They're trying to warn you and everybody else, and they're trying to say, we need to stop what's going on. This is going down a very bad, dark path. And I don't mean just bad. I mean very bad. Effectively, science is coming to an end. Effectively, healthcare, the way we look at it, is coming to an end. There's no evidence for what's going on. Effectively, your rights and your freedoms are coming to an end. And when I say that, you need to pay attention. You need to pay attention. This is not a joke, guys. If you want to be told for the remainder of your life what you can do, who you can see, when you can step outside your house, if you have to cover your mouth, if you have to inject your own body with something that you don't want to, otherwise you don't get freedom. If you want to listen to fake news 24/7, that's making you afraid so that you submit, there's something wrong here. I'm asking everybody to wake up, smell the coffee, okay? This whole shit is corrupt, and we all need to say no to it.